We see something was falling to Earth and Ben changed into Crash Hopper, bouncing up into the air and smacking into one of the objects, landing atop a building and shaking his head. As the second one landed elsewhere and the third one crashed into the yard of the building Ben was on, and Rook blasted some debris that almost hit someone, making it bust apart before it could hit them. Ben tells them nice shot. His ship was sniffing at one of the objects, then growls at it, moving away, confusing them since it wasn't like ship. To actively reject new technology he hasn't gotten to play with yet. Though before they could figure out more, the objects then fired off strange energy beams into the air. We then cut to Ben and Rook in the proto-truck spacecraft form, as Ship had actively refused to go near the technology, so they'd left him with Grandpa Max. Speaking of, they got a transmission from him asking how things were, and Rook says that they were approaching the ship now. Max tells them to be careful. Going inside, they find bubble wrap of all things. As they continue exploring, they find more before hearing someone popping more of it, and follow the sound to the Breedle brothers. Ben sighs in annoyance seeing the two of them, and the Breedles start blasting at them. Rook and Ben hid behind part of the ship so that the blaster fire wouldn't hit them, and Ben messes with the watch. Hitting the dial, Ben changes into the alien we saw at Bauman's store, calling the transformation Roadblock. He then says he could work with this as strange energy began to form from the ground up around the Breedles, and when they tried blasting through it, their ammunition just bounced around inside the barrier with them, causing it to shoot them instead and taking them down. We then see them at the controls with the Breedles in cuffs, and Ben activating the tractor beam controls as Rook's ship was flying away without them. They then head off to see who is trying to steal the ship, and we see Argent, who tells them to back off because he has the Annihilarg, and Ben says, "I swear to Starbeard, Argent, if you do anything that ruins me getting to see Gwen this weekend, I'll kill you." They then see through a large viewing window that the incursions had come to collect the same prize, and Rook says this is bad, though Ben tells them not exactly. If there's one thing the Breedles love, it's pointless violence. Ben told the Breedles they were free to shoot at any frog that comes their way, and if possible get aboard the frog ship and blow it up however they like. Ben doesn't let Argent out of his sight as they all split up to take down the frogs, fighting them off in various ways, with them sometimes regrouping and blasting away at the incursion troops and the like to take them down, with Boyd asking how they were going to get aboard their ship to blow it up real good, and Ben tells them patience. They continue on until Argent managed to slip away from the others. Then the Breedle brothers had gone off too. Ben met up with the leader of the incursions and asked Milius how he'd been. They'd said not bad, though it was too bad they'd have to destroy Ben for getting in their way. Atea kind of liked them. Ben tells him he's already seeing someone, and Milius says that's a shame. He would have made a great incursion, and he pushed a button on his collar as some soldiers showed up to fight. Ben was about to go for his staff, but hits the Omnitrix, changing into Crash Hopper again, bouncing around, avoiding their attacks before knocking down the goons and kicking away their blasters. Argent appears and yells at Milius that he was supposed to buy the Annihilarg from him, but now the Breedles have it. They then see the Breedle ship headed off towards Earth, and Ben kicks Argent into a wall before ramming into him, then starts to throw him around before Rook stops him, saying that their time was better suited, stopping the Breedles from causing problems. Ben and Rook take off in their ship, and Milius follows with his crew in their own ship as well. They have a battle in space, and both the Breedle ship and Rook's ship were caught in the fire and had to make emergency landing before the frogs then demanded they hand over the device after landing themselves. The Breedles tell them no and actually try to activate the Annihilarg, and Argent tries to make a grab for it, as do the frogs, Rook, and Ben. But Rhomboid ends up grabbing it last before Argent makes him fall over and drop it, opening up the device with a red button of sorts flashing, showing a countdown had been started. Octagon suggests getting to a safe distance, and Ben tells him that there is no safe distance, everywhere is going to be erased, and the Elder Breedle says that they had not thought that through. With Ben activating the Omnitrix, telling Rook that now would be a good time for Alien X, as he then hits the dial and changes into the Celestial Sapien form. Ben tells them no time for usual greetings, the universe being erased. Serena, they'd be saving countless lives if they'd stopped it. Bellicus, he'd give them them for a suggestion for punishment for the ones that set off the device. The two look at Ben, seeing how frantic he is, then to one another, then back to Ben, as he hadn't acted like that before now. We then cut to outside of Alien X, where everyone is watching as he says the words, "Seconded, unanimous vote, motion carried," and began to do something, letting out strange energies that began to close the holes in the universe that were torn open. As Rook said that Alien X was real, he could not believe it. Once everyone was safe, our Ben apologized to Bellicus and Serena for pushing like that, but it was sort of an extreme case. Bellicus says that he believes it is his turn now to suggest, and he suggests punishment for those that set off the device. A dip in the core of the sun should do nicely. Serena didn't like that, but Ben seconded the idea, saying that it was the Breedle brothers that did it. They'd be fine. Alien X teleports away the Breedles, and Serena looks a little annoyed at the two of them, then says that she proposes they move the Contumalia ship somewhere no one else will be able to reach, to which Ben seconded again. The Contumalia ship was then teleported away by Alien X, all of which was impressive to Rook and the others. Ben then makes another proposal to them to move the incursions and their ship back to their borders, where they couldn't cause any more damage from the fighting, and place Argit, who'd found the Annihilarg, into an empty holding spot for due process to receive punishment. Alien X then again says, "Seconded, unanimous vote, motion carried," as Argit and the incursions were teleported away. Ben apologized again to Bellicus and Serena about rushing them, and asked while he's there if they have any new arguments that they might need his help with. Bellicus tells him no, and Alien X reverts back to Ben with Rook asking what happened, to which Ben responds, "Everything's fine now, that's what matters."